Female characters in anime, manga, light novels is nothing uncommon, but I think it's very rare that in some cases we see series create one of the most interesting female casts, meaning that most of the time all the female characters in one particular series are interesting in their own way and actually contribute to the main story of that series, and this is no exception to Clash of the Elite. I think Clash of the Elite is one of those series that it doesn't just have great male characters, it also has great female characters. And since I'm up to date with this series, I can safely say that Clash of the Elite has one of the best female casts of all time. Like literally every single female character in this series is important to the story, and they're not just being used for fan service, because the author knew how to make these female characters work. They knew that they were going to be important not just for our main protagonist Ayana Koji, but also because they help as well by giving character development to other characters of the series, and that's what I'll be talking about in today's video. Oftentimes when authors are creating female characters for their series, they usually make a couple of them interesting and then just push the other ones to the side, or they do the other way and they just simply make a character just for fan service or just to simply be the love interest for the MC. But that's not what all the females of Clash of the Elite are. They're not just fan service characters, and they're not just there just to be the love interest of the MC. Of course, don't get me wrong, there are characters in this series that are interested in Ayana Koji, but that's not all of them. You have characters like Horikita, who in the beginning of this series thought that she could get into Class A all by herself and that she didn't need anybody's help. And the reason why she was so desperate in a way to get into Class A was that she could show her brother that she wasn't useless, only to find out later on that her brother wanted her to be her own person and not follow his shadow. And after that, she became a very different person. She started to become a leader for her class. She started to ask people for help, and she clearly was working with the class and no longer thinking that she had to do everything on her own. Then you have female characters in this series that you want to know more about and you want to know why they act the way they act. For example, Ichinose and Kushida. Let's first start off with Kushida. Kushida in the beginning of the series made us believe that she was a really nice person, only to do a 180 and then completely show us her true personality, in which she is not a great person whatsoever. And for a while you wanted to know why she was like this. You wanted to know why she acted the way she acted and why she even wanted to get rid of Horikita from the school in the first place. We come to find out that Kushida always wanted attention. She loved it when people always gave her attention and praised her for everything she did. The reason why she was so eager to get Horikita out of the school was because, according to her, she believed that Horikita knew about an incident that happened in her past. And while Kushida desperately tried to get rid of Ayana Koji and Horikita from the school, every plan that she always came up with always failed because either Horikita or Ayana Koji put a stop to her plans. And this will ultimately lead to her doom, as the class would eventually find out about her true personality, and of course this will lead to Kushida now realizing that she is no match for Ayana Koji or Horikita. And as of right now, she is helping the class get to Class A, but there's also been hints that she potentially may have a thing for Ayana Koji. Now whether she makes a move or not is up to anyone's guess, as the series is still ongoing, but it goes to show us that Kushida is her own character. She had her own reasons why she did the things she did, and while they weren't great, it was still very interesting to see what she was willing to do in order to get rid of Ayana Koji and Horikita off the school, since these are two people that early on knew about her personality and knew what kind of person she truly was. And then you have Ichinose, someone that many consider to be the nicest person they ever met, because she was willing to help out anybody, no matter if they were in her class or not. That's how nice Ichinose was as a person. However, as the series continues, you eventually find out that she isn't perfect. She is also going to make mistakes, and she also has done mistakes in her past as well, when we come to find out that she did steal something in the past. And while it wasn't a big deal, because the only reason why she did it was for her sister, this is still something that Ichinose hasn't forgotten. Not only that, but we also get to see just how really her ideals of her trying to save the entire class may not be the right direction to go, because other classes like Ryuen's class, Sakunagi's class, and even Horikita's class have improved a lot, and it's very clear that they are also in potential to be reaching to Class A. And this is something that worries Ichinose a lot, because she wants to reach to Class A with her class, but at the same time she's worried if she's doing things wrong. And while ultimately Ayana Koji promises her that he is going to help her no matter what, it still makes us interested in Ichinose as what she's going to do and what are her future plans into reaching to Class A. And then you have Kei, who is one of my favorite female characters of this series, because it goes to show us just how with great writing you can make a character that many people thought was going to be a background character be one of the most impactful and one of the most interesting interesting characters of Clash of the Elite. Kei's backstory is very tragic as she was sadly a victim of bullying, and as a result, due to the amount of bullying she was dealing with, this led to Kei harming herself, which as a result left a really nasty scar in her body, a scar in which Ayano Koji stated was from an injury that was life-threatening. And in the beginning of the series, we see Kei act as a human parasite. She was always trying to be with someone that was either had a big influence or was really popular in order for protection, because she did not want to be bullied ever again in her life. For a while, she sadly was getting bullied by Class C students from Ryuen's class. Ultimately, she was saved by none other than Ayano Koji. Now, of course, Ayano Koji had other intentions as to why he wanted Kei to be by his side, and it's because to make his plans work. Here's where Kei showed us that she wasn't a useless character and she was her own character. She not only realized very quickly that Ayano Koji was using her, but she also showed her skills very quickly as well. She was good at reading the room. She was good at also using people as well. Not only that, but every time she tried to get information, Ayano Koji realized that she was really good at getting a ton of information for him. And of course, the more time they spent together, the more times they developed feelings for each other, and ultimately they would start a relationship, and this will lead to Ayano Koji experiencing new things now that he has someone by his side that he wants to protect. Now, of course, in the most recent volumes, things aren't going so great. If you have read the recent volume, you know what I'm talking about, but it just goes to show us just how far both Kei and Ayano Koji went, and it goes to show us that Kei went from someone who needed to rely on others to protect her to someone who clearly now knew how to protect herself and became a strong person as the series went on. However, with that being said, not every character in Clash of the Elite is very easy to understand. Some have very complex personalities and some have very complex minds, and this is best described and best showcased in both Hiyori and Sakuyanagi. Hiyori is mostly a quiet girl, but she's a very nice individual. But despite her being a very nice person, she could be very brutally honest sometimes and could say what she feels like and what she feels about a certain person. That's the kind of person Hiyori is, and even for a while, Ayano Koji stated that he was scared at some point about Hiyori because he didn't really understand her mindset. He didn't know what she was thinking for most of the time, and it was very clear that she could see right through him. An example of this is when, after the whole fight between Ayano Koji and Ryuen started to change his leadership, and clearly he was becoming a more different person than he originally was. So a time when Ayano Koji and Hiyori were hanging out, Hiyori pretty much very casually told Ayano Koji how she knew that he had something to do with Ryuen's change. And while Ayano Koji tried to deny it or act like he had no idea what she was talking about, he knew it was pointless because Hiyori could see right through him. And that's what makes Hiyori such a very interesting character, because she's very unpredictable. You don't really know what she's going to do or say, and you can tell very quickly that she doesn't need to have somebody confirm something if she already knows what that person is probably doing or thinking. That's the kind of mind that Hiyori has. But there is also another character that is very unpredictable, and once again, this is Sakuyanagi. Sakuyanagi, even as of right now, is still a very interesting character to read, as no matter what she does or says, you can't really take it at face value because you don't know whether she's telling 100% the truth or not. She could be telling you 100% the truth, but also at the same time, she could also be throwing in some lies when she's saying something that seems to be true. Not to mention that her ideals are very unique, and she's very interesting as to why she believes the things she believes. Like when she states that the only way someone can be a true genius is if they were born right then and there, meaning as soon as they were born, they were already determined to be a genius or not. And the people who work hard and try to be geniuses themselves aren't the actual geniuses, and instead they are false geniuses, which is something that she has been very open about with Ayano Koji, telling him that he is a false genius and that she is the true genius, because she states that according to her, she was already born a genius, while Ayano Koji had to go through the white room and learn a bunch of things in order to be a smart person. And don't let her appearance fool you, as very quickly you are soon to find out that anybody who is enemies with Sakuyanagi, they are not going to have a great time. And Ayano Koji has seen firsthand what happens to people who are not in Sakuyanagi good side. They get destroyed by Sakuyanagi, and she's very determined to destroy her enemies no matter at what cost. Now, of course, not every female character has a lot of moments. Some get barely barely any moments in this series. However, the author knew what to do with these characters, as even the most smallest moments, we know a lot about their character and we know about why they act the way they act, or we get even a glimpse of their ideals or personality. Characters like Ibuki, who are part of Ryuen's group, don't have a lot of moments, but whenever they are having their moment, you can tell that she's a very aggressive person who gets very frustrated very quickly. However, with that being said, doesn't mean that she's completely heartless, as unexpectedly, something that I was not expecting to happen in this series was that she managed to have a friendship with Horikita. She has stated that they are rivals, but it's very clear that both Horikita and Ibuki have developed some sort of friendship. And I mean, she was even out there for her, trying to protect her when the whole Yagami stuff happened, in which she was quick to subdue Yagami because she saw Yagami follow Horikita, and of course this made her worry, and she pretty much knew that there was something going to happen. It's these kind of moments that show us that while Ibuki isn't really a huge effect to the story, she does have an important part in the story, and she's not only interesting to see, but we also see that her actions also influence other characters of the series as well. And then characters like Kamuro, who we knew nothing about except the fact that she worked with Sakinagi. In just one chapter, we got to know what kind of person she was, in which we find out that she had a habit of robbing a lot of things for no particular reason. And one day, Sakinagi saw that, and instead of reporting Kamuro of what she did, she wanted her to work with her because she saw that she was a very useful person to have on her side. And who can forget Sakura and Hasabe, two people who were part of the Ayana Koji group that not only showed Ayana Koji what it's like to have friends, but also had personalities that you didn't really seem to mind whenever they had their moments, because there was just something about their dynamic between Hasabe and Sakura that really just made it very interesting to see. And then you have some of Kei's friends like Sato, who was the person who actually was the first one to confess her feelings for Ayana Koji. And while sadly Ayana Koji rejected her, in the light novels he actually had a very different approach than what he had in the anime. In the anime he was more cold-hearted, whereas in the light novels he actually thanks Sato for the experience, for what it's like to be in a date. And then you have Matsushita, who has a very similar mindset to Ayana Koji, in which no matter what happens, no matter what has to be done, as long as she survives, that's all that matters. Very similar to how Ayana Koji feels whenever he's in a situation where he needs to do something in order to not get expelled. And of course, lastly, we have to talk about the second year characters like Nanase, Ichika, and Tsubaki. Nanase in the beginning hated Ayana Koji, and she wanted to get rid of him from the school because she was told by Tokishiro that if she expels Ayana Koji, then she will get an apology from Ayana Koji's dad, because for those who don't know, her old friend was actually the butler's son, the same butler that helped Ayana Koji escape. And because of what he did, Ayana Koji's father not only ruined the butler's life, but he also ruined his son's life as well, which will lead to the butler's son ending his own life, and Nanase wanting revenge for what happened to her old friend. And while ultimately she was defeated by Ayana Koji, because it's not really surprising really, but even still, we still got to see a very interesting side of Nanase. Why was she so determined to get rid of Ayana Koji? Her connection with the butler's son, that was all very interesting to see. And then of course we have Ichika, who is a white room student, a person who was sent to the school that Ayana Koji is in to get him expelled. But in reality, Ichika was perfectly fine betraying the white room because she admires Ayana Koji. She wants to know what makes him the strongest person and what makes him the perfect human being to ever exist from the white room. And while Tsubaki doesn't really have a lot of huge moments, there's just something about her that makes her very interesting, as she not only has some sort of connection with the third white room student that to this day we still have no knowledge about, but it's very clear there's more things about her than meets the eye, and I really am curious as to what they're going to do with this character. And this just goes to show us that the author knows how to write female characters, even new ones that are just appearing in the series. There is a few other characters that I forgot as well, but you kind of get the idea. Basically, any character of Classroom DLE is interesting, including the female characters. Almost any kind of female characters always introduced, there's just something interesting about them that you want to learn more of. And I'm being completely honest here, I feel like if they were to make a volume just dedicated to the entire female cast of Classroom DLE and not include any of the male characters whatsoever, it would still be a good read. That's how interesting all the characters of Classroom DLE are. Like, they could literally spend an entire volume just with the female characters, not even include Ayana Koji whatsoever, and it'll still be interesting. It'll still be a good thing to see because you'll probably get to learn more things about the other characters of the series. So with that being said, that's pretty much my entire video. Just want to give my thoughts on this because I think it's still very interesting to see how a series does so well with its characters, whether regardless if it's male characters or female characters, they know how to make good characters for a series because most of the characters of the series are still very enjoyable to read. Like, I have no issues with most of the characters of the series. Of course there are some, but for the most part everyone is very interesting. Everyone has their moments, everyone has something in them that makes them very interesting set of characters. So with that, that's pretty much my entire video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.